Well, it's done. I finally beat Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It only took 2 months. Actually, no, I beat this maybe a week or two ago. But I kind of fell ill for a minute and couldn't gather my thoughts. I tried. I actually tried to sit down here, but when your head is experiencing fog, the fog of illness, and you have to recall things from a Final Fantasy game, it doesn't go so well. But after all that has cleared, I've rested, I can finally gather my thoughts here on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I did a video like this for remake when that came out, because I didn't want to take up a whole hour of our own Mega 64 podcast to, I didn't want to commandeer the whole show just for my thoughts on it, because I had a lot of them. And I have a lot of thoughts on this one too. But I will just say, let me just say, first of all, this is going to be spoiler laden. I'm not going to hold anything back. So I probably wouldn't watch this if you haven't played the game. That's just my 2 cents on that. But I have a lot of thoughts like I did last time. Final Fantasy was always one of my favorite game series ever. I still have framed Final Fantasy artwork in my home. It's still like one of the most beloved series to me. I in later years, I'm hot and cold with it, but it still means a lot. I still have to take the time and check out whatever's going on with it. And, I definitely, now that I've beat Rebirth, I was very nervous going into it because I just didn't know what to make of things when remake ended. I kind of didn't know. I mean, I talked for I talked for an hour about remake when it came out. You can watch the video, it's out there, but I think it was kind of born out of like, well, I have to like make peace with my thoughts because I don't really have a final verdict here. People were like, "Did you love it? Did you hate it?" I don't know. I do think it's unfair. I was branded a hater. I was branded a hater. Because I did have a lot of criticisms and critiques of it, but I actually truthfully really don't feel like I was. I don't hate that game. I don't hate remake. I thought there were frustrating aspects of it because I felt like they had one of the easiest layups ever. There were things they could have just so effortlessly done to make it a slam dunk, and then, but we did something different, and it's like, it might be worse that you did that. I don't know. Some risks were really good, some were not, in my opinion, but overall, I mean, what, stood out. What else am I playing like that, And it still has these, even if I didn't, let's say I hated everything about where the story went in remake and what they did with it. Let's just say that for the sake of argument. I'm someone that when I get a video game, I'm not, this might be controversial. People don't always agree with me on this. I'm the kind of person, I'm not playing it for like to be challenged. I want to like get the challenge of beating this boss or that's not how I play it. I'm not saying that's wrong or, if that's how you look at video games. I love what creative things they can do with characters and a world and taking me somewhere else, and the soundtrack and the presentation and it's like, take me on an adventure and, show me everything you got. Like, you know what I mean? Tease my imagination. I like exploring. That's what I really like to do. And if I like a game a lot, I'm fine with it being easy. And if I really like it a lot, the next time I'll play it, then I'll step it up harder, So the only reason I'm bringing that up is I'm just kind of giving my context here. Like FF7 remake, basically I look for a lot of different ingredients, not just one, and I can be really swayed if one thing really sucks, if there's 80 other really tasty ingredients, I'll still like it a lot. You know what I mean? I remember playing The Last Guardian. There's a lot of things that don't quite work great in that game, but that world and that the places they take you, and the vibe of it is so, ooh, I could just eat that up, that I, would ultimately give that game a good review. And I, gameplay is just one part of it. Story is just one part of it. If there's enough good parts, I'll be pretty forgiving. There were a lot of things in Final Fantasy VII Remake, maybe I didn't care for, but that world and those characters and getting to experience something new with them, even if it's not my favorite thing, I'm please, you've sold me the ticket. I'm going. So ultimately, I really enjoyed it, and there were things I did come to terms with it, on it a little bit, but I mostly with Remake I just didn't care for how it ended. Ended very weird. I felt like they had to go weird with it. I don't know if what I'm going to say is matching what I said 4 years ago. I'm just kind of speaking off the top of my head, and that's what I'm going to be doing the whole video, by the way. I'm not really planning this out too well. I'm just kind of speaking off the dome, but yeah, I felt like they had some compulsion, like, no, we gotta go weird, we gotta Kingdom Hearts this thing. And I also really felt like my feeling coming off of it was, oh, they're doing this faux sequel thing. I think a lot of people had that same opinion, like, wasn't a remake, they're crafting a sequel that we didn't know about, kind of thing. They're doing that. And let me tell you, I gotta get this off my chest. This part of the video is going to be therapy for me. So I apologize for using you in that way. I apologize for trauma dumping you. But I do have to get this off my chest now. The amount of people, this was the hardest thing to talk about FF7 Remake. When the theories came up about it being a faux sequel and all that stuff, I was just rolling my eyes. Like, I just did not. I thought the Final Fantasy VII story was so kind of like weird and anime and fun. It didn't need any other aspects. To me, it wasn't. I wasn't gaining anything from like, now they're going weird with it. And I had so many people say the same thing to me, and it got under my skin so bad that I got to talk about it. When they would say, "Oh, that surprises me you didn't like that because you're such an Evangelion guy. You're such an Evangelion fan. That surprises me you felt that way." First of all, hold on. I didn't feel like these were the same things at all. I mean, when for those who don't have the context, when Evangelion came out with a new series of movies, it was retelling the old show, but then it diverted into a new path. First of all, they kind of said that from the beginning. They didn't. There was no trick there. From the beginning, they were like, "This is all going to parlay into a new ending for Eva." So let's just get that out of the way. But aside from that, just because one thing does something, I don't see how that means I have to default like it in everything. It would be like they're going to remake, the original Star Wars. This is a terrible idea because everyone's going to just say they did that with Force Awakens. Never mind, bad idea. I just don't feel like that gives license to anything getting like, oh, we're remaking, the thing. Oh, it's actually a sequel. Oh, we're doing this thing. Oh, it's actually a sequel. To me, that doesn't make it like, oh, I have to love it by default. And also, to add to that, they've already did it. They already did that. I don't want 8 things to do that. I feel like a lot of times what happens with video games is they kind of, and I'm not trying to diss the art of video games here. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the art form in any way. But tell me if you think I'm wrong on this. I do feel like video games are sometimes like a few years behind movies. like 3 to 5 years behind movies, where like there's a trend that rips through movies, like, oh, you know, a lot of movies are kind of pulling this kind of twist and that kind of thing, whatever. And then like a few years later, it happens to games. They start doing it. And then 10 years later, it starts happening in Broadway shows because they're always a decade behind cultural anything. But I do feel like there was a vibe in the air at the time of we're going to circumvent your expectations. You came here expecting this. We're going to give you that. And I hate to invoke The Last Jedi in this conversation, but you know, you had like that kind of stuff happening in the box office. Movies were coming out that would kind of like twist your expectation. Then you started to see in the Last of Us 2 kind of did it, and Final Fantasy VII Remake within the same couple months kind of did it. I just felt like everything was trying to like play with me, and I was just kind of like, I'm good on that. I don't want all my media to do the same thing, you know. And now I'm going to say an insulting thing. You know, Evangelion already did this. Twin Peaks kind of did this too. Yeah. Who are those made by? Award-winning directors, award-winning writers. No offense to the Final Fantasy team. No offense to them at all. Again, Final Fantasy, one of my favorite series. But you know, I saw what was happening in Kingdom Hearts. And I was scared. I got scared. So that just kind of put an uneasiness into me. So I'm not trying to turn this into a negative video here. I'm giving the background for me going into Rebirth, where color me surprised at all the things that hit me in the lead up to that game coming out. First of all, I didn't really look at a lot of previews. I saw like the announcement trailer, and I don't think I watched much else. I really don't think I did. I was like, I'm already playing this, you know. I don't need to see much. I guess they showed Vincent at one point. I never saw that. You know what I mean? I just felt like it was already on the way. I'm good. And but what surprised me was like a couple days, or I don't know how many days before it came out, they showed Advent Children in theaters, and I didn't get to go. I kind of wanted to go, but there was a lot going on. I just couldn't. But I guess they had this interview with the creators, Final Fantasy creators. I don't know if it was Nomura that talked about this, or Katase, or whoever. I don't know who it was that talked about it, but the people who worked on the game were like, outright came out and were like, yeah, you know, so Advent Children is kind of meant to be the finale of OG FF7, you know. And then we did all these other spin-off games and things like that. And really, remake series, Rebirth, whatever, that trilogy is really just meant to be, it's not a sequel, it's a retelling of that original story, but made bigger so we can include all these characters that were in all these different pieces of the FF7 story, all these, Crisis Core and Dirge of Cerberus and all this stuff that has existed over time, even Advent Children, that it was their way of including all of that in one big ultimate telling of the OG Final Fantasy VII story. And I was surprised by that. I was like, they're just saying it. I think I haven't seen the interview, to be honest, but these are just things I've heard. And I'm curious if anyone out there has seen it. From what I understand, they said like, it's not a sequel. It's like just a bigger retelling of that original story. I was just surprised they kind of touched on that at all. And I guess the reason they were bringing this up is they went on to bring up the three characters that are kind of exclusive to Advent Children. The children, what were they? The children of, I have not watched Advent Children in years. The children of the three guys, the Yuzu and Gruzu and Buzu or whatever. I forget what their names are, but they said like, yeah, we tried to include, we found a way to include them too. They're the three unknown kind of entities or whatever that you encounter in Remake. Like there's a boss fight, you fight these three dudes and in some kind of weird form, and I guess that's them in some form in this new game. So I thought that was kind of interesting. That was a fan theory for a while. I know I've done a terrible job summarizing it, but I thought that was interesting that they touched on that. And then I'm playing now. I mean, I know there's been a lot of preamble, but now I'm getting to Rebirth. The game comes out, and I'm playing it, and I'm like, this is sticking to the story, kind of the original FF7 story, quite a bit. Like, I didn't constantly feel like I was getting ping pong back and forth like I was in Remake with like, whoa, we're going to go here. Oh, whoa, this is a new thing. Oh, okay, we're going, what's happening now? Oh, we're going, you know what I mean? Like, felt like it was kind of sticking to the original story a lot more, and I was like kind of surprised by that. And as I'm playing this, I'm kind of like, I'm wondering, and I'm sure there's other people who have vocalized the thoughts that I'm probably not sharing super original thoughts here. Again, like when I played Remake, I tried to beat it. I think I beat it over one weekend. Like I just played it endlessly, but this was a much bigger game, much larger game, and just took a while. And I was in a race to finish the first one because I didn't want anybody spoiling it on social media. You know, that's the thing I hate. And I swore like, oh, it's going to happen to me on this one. I'm not fast enough. It's going to happen. And I never saw anybody on social media talking about the ending or anything like that. I didn't have to dodge or avoid anything. I was surprised. Then once I beat it, I was like, yeah, that's why. Okay. We'll get to that later. But playing Rebirth, though, I'll just say overall, I thought they got the balance of kind of like the new and the old and what am I trying to say? I thought they breadcrumbed all that much better. In fact, I would say overall, I think this game is more of the game I was hoping last one would be. Now, again, they were kind of in a weird position in Remake because they kind of committed to just Midgar. Like, oh, yeah, it's just going to be Midgar. It made sense to kind of, Midgar was such a huge chunk of that game, and it kind of made sense to like confine it to that. Okay, it's a good breaking point when they leave at the end. I get that. So, whatever. But I felt like Remake was kind of trying hard out of the gate to throw crazy shit at you instead of just kind of breadcrumbing the story in an interesting way. I still think they are kind of fouling up some of these really interesting moments, but in general, I think they did a much better job weaving a mystery. Most of it being the OG Final Fantasy VII story. I felt like, they're actually like doing a good job remaking that. And then every now and then, by the way, here's a weird nugget. Oh, what was that? I don't know what that was all about. Mostly via these like Zack scenes. Like, okay, here, they're going to, they're in Calm or what? Is that where, I'm on the spot, so I can never think of these things, but where they tell this, where they hunker down in the hotel and Cloud's telling his story about Nibelheim and being in Soldier with Sephiroth and all that stuff. They're telling the story there, and it's really well told. Awesome opening to the game. Really great opening. I'm just like, oh, this is such an iconic scene from the game, and they just did it great. And it really, I have to say, real mind blower moment for me, and I'm sure other people had similar feelings at some point. If you're like me, I remember playing the original game in late 90s and seeing those CG cutscenes, and I had just dreams of like, man, what would it take for someday we have a video game that looks as good as those cutscenes? And I remember thinking like, oh my God, the format, like this is on like multiple discs. It's on 3 discs, I think, right? I was getting confused with 8 because I think 8 was on 4, right? 4 discs? I don't know. Anyway, but I remember thinking, God, the format that would have to be on, it would have to be discs the size of laser discs, like probably like 20 discs this big. You know what I mean? Not knowing that there would ever be anything else developed, or you even just download that. And what was mind-blowing was, for me, it was the moment that it hit me that, oh my God, we got there. We did it. We did it. Because I remember having that distinct thought watching the cutscene of Sephiroth getting close to Genova, that like sculpture of the face in front, like with the Genova banner over it or whatever, and then he rips all that out and you see the real Genova back there, you know? When that was happening in Rebirth, that was I had hair standing up because I was just like, I remember thinking, how can we make a game that looks like that, this cutscene? And now it looks better. I mean, it took 5 PlayStations to get there, but we're there. We did that. So that was a really magic moment for me. That was really cool. In general, there were lots of moments like that in this game. I thought they did way better paying homage, but also doing new stuff. Like I said, I thought they got the balance way better in this game. And it felt like, more than the last one, it felt like a full-fledged Final Fantasy game. It felt like a mainline Final Fantasy game. Remake, again, was odd from the get-go because, again, you're in one place, and it really was padded out with a lot of kind of bizarre side quests. And I'm not even saying it wasn't fun. I'm really not trying to dog on it. But I'm kind of dogging on it because I remember out the gate, again, like, the side quests immediately were like, find my cat, find these dumb kids, beat up this lizard. There's more lizards. Did you know about the lizards? It kind of immediately superfluous a little bit. It was kind of, I don't know. It just didn't sell to me the gravity of the whole story. This one, starting with that really powerful Cloud spinning that yarn about what happened back in the day and what happened at the reactor and all that, really kind of set the whole thing in motion. Now, I'm curious what people think of the whole story of this game within this chapter, like front to back of Rebirth. I'm curious what people think of the overarching story, because to me, I liked that it kind of mostly, again, I say mostly, stuck to that this chunk of the original game where they're in pursuit of Sephiroth. I thought that was fine, but I saw some people say like the main story was a little bit anemic, and I'm curious how many of you felt that way, because to me, I'm just like, yeah, it's part 2 of the story. I remember this. This is, they're in pursuit of Sephiroth, and like big shit is going to happen later. So I was accepting of it. But I could see if this is like your first time playing this, or you didn't play the old one, maybe you would think like, okay, they were chasing that guy and then what happened? You know, I'm curious. I'm curious what other people have to say about that. I thought the overarching thing that it was what I expected in that regard. Just the main plot, you know. Here's the story of Sephiroth. That's why we have to go get him. We got to stop him because he's going to do some crazy shit and it's going to end everything. Okay, great. Let's go. And then they're in pursuit of him. And again, I thought they did a good job making, and I'm speaking, again, I can't speak for people looking at this as its own, you know, own standalone thing that they've seen. This is the first Final Fantasy thing they've played. I don't know. I'm talking about someone who loves the old game, you know, so I'm obviously going to make my comparisons because I'm just like that. But I thought like I said, I thought they did a great job balancing the old and the new way better, where it was actually interesting. And when it would go to those Zack scenes, I was kind of like, oh, okay. Oh, I was actually like excited to see those. I felt like in Remake, they were trying to cram Sephiroth into it every 30 seconds so early on. Like in Remake, we had that intro, that really high-powered, you know, that great, I don't know how else to convey that without doing the song, but we had that cool intro, and then immediately they were trying, Sephiroth, no, look! Oh, it's been 5 minutes, we don't have Sephiroth, man, put it back in. You know, there's a little bit of that in this game. I didn't feel like it was as egregious, and I just feel like they were trying too hard to cram too many new, again, I keep using the term breadcrumbing. To me, that's what it's all about. If you want to interest me in the story, And I thought the original FF7 back in the day was, for such a kind of elementary game, relatively, I mean, just technology wise, whatever, they did a great job breadcrumbing the mystery in that a lot, and I thought this game was a little better with that, where when new stuff would happen in Remake, I was kind of like, all right, and I get it. Whispers, Sephiroth, whispers, Sephiroth, whispers. What is this? I don't know. They were kind of like overdosing me a little bit on that. This one, it was a little more like, okay, what's going? Oh, Zack's scene. Okay, well, Cloud is in bed and he's sick. Well, that doesn't match what I just saw a minute ago. Okay, I kind of was curious to know more. And then it was kind of back to this epic original story told in a new way. And then you'd go town to town, and each town kind of, this one's more open world, and each town kind of brought its own vibe, and you can like go get this, and the quests were actually kind of fun, and there's some that I got tired of. Like, to be honest, I didn't really want to sneak up on another chocobo, so I kind of stopped doing that. But that's what was cool, is I remember Johnny over here, he was playing, I'm not talking about Johnny in the game who has the shitty seaside hotel. I'm talking about Johnny here at Mega 64. He was telling me how he was enjoying the side stuff, but I told him, I'm like, yeah, that's cool, you're doing that, but I'm tired of the chocobo stuff, so I'm kind of, and he's like, oh, how are you not going to do that? Because you need to do da-da-da-da-da-da. But I skipped it, and I found other ways to move on and other ways to do this or that, And that's what I thought was really cool about this game, is I feel like if you are just a story nut, like generally that's what I am, you were well fed. You could just play that, and you had a whole 50-hour game, whatever. Like you had sky's the limit. But if you are the kind of person that wants all this kind of side stuff, there was a really fun game for you too, and kind of like both people won there. I feel like I'm not a big side quest guy, and I feel like I had to do a lot of crap I didn't want to do in Remake. That's just me. I don't know if, maybe there's other ways I could have done that, but I felt like I was subjected to stuff I was like not interested in that first one. In this one, I could kind of do it my way, and it was cool. And there was even like kind of like crafting stuff in this game. You could make your own items, but you kind of could ignore that if you wanted to, as far as I know, unless there's something I'm missing, and you tell me. But if you didn't want to do that, you could kind of just ignore it. I thought all of that, I just thought everything was a lot more well balanced out. Felt like a real mainline numbered Final Fantasy game, only it was, part 2 of the remake series, whatever is the series, is it called like the remake series? What is Final Fantasy? There's got to be a name for this trilogy, right? Off the top of my head, I don't know what it is, so tell me in the comments what it is. But yeah, I just thought they balanced all that a lot better. That being said, like I said, still some stupid moments. This is maybe my biggest issue with the game. Well, I don't know. A big issue I have is that I'm getting this impression that they hear the feedback and they constantly hear like, what are the coolest scenes in Final Fantasy VII? Oh, my favorite scene is that. My favorite scene is this. And then when they hear about those scenes, it's almost like I get this impression, I could be wrong, I might be pulling this out of my butt, but I feel like those are the scenes they meddle with the most and kind of ruin a little bit. Like what am I trying to say? Almost like too many cooks in the kitchen, like they need to, no, add this. No, a little more, put that in. Like it's almost like they nail the low-key parts better in Remake and Rebirth than the big cool scenes. I feel like those get fucked around with the most. And then it's like, oh, okay. There are eye rolls that I expected to have at the end of this game that I didn't, which is good. But there were some big eye rolls for me at other points along the way. And I will just say one of the biggest ones is early in the game when you are fighting the good luck to me pronouncing the Midgardsormr, the big snake. Again, like that, I think that's one of the most cool and mysterious scenes in the original game is, oh, that snake, you won't survive. Oh, that thing is tough. Oh my God, that thing, good luck fighting that. That thing comes after you, you're done. Oh my God. They really build it up as a strong thing, and like you're walking around on the world map and it's chasing after you, and like if you get caught by it, you gotta face this horrible boss fight, you know, and they really made it scary. So when I encountered it in Rebirth, it was like, oh shit, here's that snake. Oh my God. And they were hyping it up in that game too. There was like, I kept seeing signs like warning you about it, you know, and they did a good job. But what was so creepy in the original game is that you go and do some other stuff and you come back and then, wait, what is that? And that, you know, I don't know how much I'm going to curse on them, whatever. They curse in the game, don't they? That big ass snake is impaled on this big ass stick or whatever. It's impaled and dead on a post or on a tree, whatever. It's dead. And they're like, it became a meme. You've probably seen that image, but it's like, did Sephiroth do this? And there's all these moments in the original game where you don't see him, but you see his influence. And it's just like, what is this guy? What? This is just a dude you knew, Cloud? Because it seems like there's more to it than that. Like, this guy is a force of something. And I'm fighting the snake monster in Rebirth, and you beat the boss, and then he drags Cloud all the way down, like he's going to kill Cloud. And I immediately, in my head, think, they're not going to have Sephiroth show up and kill him on camera, are they? And they do. He just shows up in, like, the Stone Cold Stunner, the fucking guy. Like, he takes the snake and he's dead. Sephiroth out. And I'm just like, man, they still don't know how to handle a creepy, mysterious scene like that. What? Wow. Yeah, you saw him do it, you know? Okay. Yeah. Wow. I'm glad we got to see it instead of, you know, wondering what the hell happened. I kind of feel like that happened in Remake too. You know, again, one of the scariest scenes to me in a game ever, I don't know, is waking up in the Shinra headquarters after you've been detained and all the doors are open and there's blood everywhere. What's going on here? And everyone's just been slaughtered in that place. And again, it's like, was this Sephiroth? How is someone doing that? Like, you're always in his pursuit. You're always in his trail, and you're scared about what's going to happen when you catch up to him. And I still feel like these new games are like, no, show him. Look, pile driver. That snake is dead. Look how dead the snake. Look, he punched the snake so hard. Did you see it? You know, I'm just like, it's not as cool. These cool moments still kind of crumble in the remake, Rebirth, whatever. So I'm just that there's like every now and then one of those moments. I will say though, I was really dejected after that snake one. I was like, this is what the game is going to be like, huh? Like, we're still kind of doing this stuff. But that was an early disappointment, but I didn't feel like there were too many of those. Like that was a low point for me, and thankfully it was early on like that. I thought they really handled most of it pretty good. There's stuff at the end that kind of, you know, didn't stick great with me, but most everything else along the way I really loved. And they didn't hold back. I love that they didn't. There's so many things that would have been, you know, easy to cut corners on or is anyone going to care about this? Let's just reduce that, gimp that a little bit down and stuff like that. And they didn't. Like, as beloved as Resident Evil 4 remake is, and I played that a few times. It was great. They still cut corners. They still, does anyone care about this part? Let's just remove that. Okay, let's just cut that. This didn't do that. I mean, again, the fear everyone had was, gold saucer. Like, how are they gonna do that? It's not gonna be that good, right? They're gonna probably only have a couple No, they put their whole ass into gold saucer. That thing is, I mean, there's so many games to play there and so many things to do. And in fact, that would be maybe an argument on the other side, is that there are too many mini games in this game. There are so many mini games that I will say, I don't think it totally bugged me like maybe it did for some people, but there was a point towards the end where they were still kind of like in the later parts, like the serious parts, when you're going to like the Temple of the Ancients, and even before that, where did you go? The factory or the reactor? What was the reactor you were at? The second to last. I don't know. Whatever. Where they're still kind of introducing minigame concepts, and you're like, okay, that's okay. Let's wrap this game up. Like, we don't need to do this. You're in like the last area, and they're like, here's how Aerith can collect souls and toss them into a basket over here. I'm good. Let's just keep, at this point, you don't need to, I don't know. So that might be an argument for maybe too much of that stuff. I think if you maybe just trimmed a couple out, it would make the others stronger. There was a point later on in the game where, again, I forget what reactor that you're at, but where you play as Cait Sith. Is that how we're pronouncing it now? Cait Sith? Where you play as them and you have to throw boxes into buckets or whatever. Like, you have to throw crates into a thing to activate that was like, oh man, cut this. That's what was kind of weird to me too, I will say, is, again, remake was really padded up front, and then I thought got better as it went on. And then Rebirth really didn't feel padded at all. I mean, you could do the side stuff if you wanted to, but you didn't have to. I stuck to the main story for a lot of it. And I thought they did a way better job not using just useless padding. Until the end, where I felt like the last few chapters had padding in them, and I'm like, we're good. Like, I kind of stuck to the main story, and my runtime on that game is still 50-something plus hours. It's not like I didn't get a full game here. You could have cut this padding out of the last few chapters, and I still would have had, a 40-something hour game? I think that's still longer than Remake was if you just played the main story, So I don't kind of see why they padded those last chapters out. I felt like they did, and it didn't feel, I don't know, that was weird to me. That was very weird to me. But again, didn't think it was as bad as the last one. But that was just kind of odd. Yeah, and anyway, so yeah, maybe some of the mini games could have been reduced. I don't know. Some were fun, but some it was just like, okay, that's fine. I will say, I do want to say about Gold Saucer though, the thing that did make me laugh is I did get the soundtrack. This is what I'm saying. People called me hater on Remake, but I was like, I bought like the 7-disc soundtrack and all the figures and all that stuff, and I'm like, I'm doing this for a game I don't hate this. I just had a lot of thoughts. But I had to get the soundtrack for this game too. They did a special edition. It just came. I should have brought it. I should have had it here because it's really pretty. You open it. I love that they made it similarly boxed like the first one, but each one has a different materia gem on it. Like, it's like Cloud's Buster sword, but a different, like a red gem, a green gem on each box set. They did a really good job. And what's funny is I remember getting the remake box set, and it had the special edition soundtrack had a bonus disc that was just the jukebox songs from Remake, which were awesome. They were remixes of the original soundtrack, just done with like jazz bands and rock bands, stuff like that. I love that. I listen to that album just regularly all the time. So I had to get that. I had to get that bonus disc, and I was like, I wonder what they didn't bring back the jukebox songs in Rebirth, so I wonder what that bonus disc is going to be in this special edition soundtrack. And then you open it up, and there's a foreword written by, I think it was Nomura that said this, where he's like, I think it was him, could have been somebody else on the team, but they said like, I hope you like the music. You're really gonna like the music in this game. It's really cool. But actually, we went so overboard. We wrote so much music for the Gold Saucer alone that could be its own album. And then it's like, oh, yeah. By the way, that's what we did. The bonus disc in this, there's a bonus disc. It's just a soundtrack for the Gold Saucer. That's it. And I thought that was really cool. That deserved its own release, and it got it. So that's in there. I'm stoked about that. And I'll just pause right there and say too, the soundtrack on the first one was a triumph. And I think it is here too. I will say it's not a knock on the soundtrack. I think I was so eager to go back to the world of FF7 in the last one that hearing the remixes and redone versions, orchestral versions of all these old classic songs hit like a ton of bricks with that first one. This one, now that I've been listening to that for 4 years, maybe this one maybe doesn't hit me as hard, but sometimes it does. So that it's just, that's not, what are they going to do? That's not their fault. You know what I mean? That's me. I've been listening to the soundtrack for the last one so much that I think maybe the shock has worn off of hearing all that, but it's so well done. The soundtrack in this new one is fantastic. And I'm going to the cons. I think I'm going to the con. I think I got tickets to they're doing a live concert of the music just for Rebirth. And I hope it's good, because I've gone the last couple Final Fantasy concerts I've gone to, I got burned. I went to they did one for just regular FF7, and it was like, they played a few songs and then like just showed the cutscenes from the original PlayStation game. Like it was weird. There were other YouTubers there that talked about this. I'm sure you could go look them up. But it was like, hi, is the orchestra going to play? I think the event was kind of just done to promote. They gave the release date of Remake at that event, so I think it kind of was like, this is just for promo, But I mean, I paid for tickets. I don't know. And then they did Distant Worlds last year, and I kept hearing that they were doing like, the music, my favorite music in Final Fantasy. I'm gonna sound like that guy, but the first, like, the OG game. I mean, I love the music in like 8, 9, 10, 11. Well, 11 I didn't really play that much, so I don't have a basis for that. But 12 I love. The later games have good music, but those first 6 are so special to me. 7 too, of course, but they always play stuff from 7. But to hear stuff from 6, stuff from 4 in concert would really, even the first one on NES, would be really, really cool. And I kept hearing they were doing that. And then when I went, it was in LA, and they were like, tonight we've got musicians that worked on 14, and they're going to play like 10 tracks from 14. And I'm like, oh, cool. I didn't really play that much. I got to level 20, so I played it a little bit, but you know what I mean? I got kind of the shaft on that. So 3 strikes rule. If this Rebirth concert is dope, all right, you keep me on. But if they pull something whack, oh, by the way, we're only going to play songs from Mystic Quest. Actually, why did I use that as an example? If they played a concert of Final Fantasy Mystic Quest music, that would probably be like the most metal event of all time. I've been dishing out terrible examples tonight. Let's get back on topic. Anyway, but Rebirth, yes. Is that what we're talking about? Mini games, I think we were talking about. Oh, but Gold Saucer. Gold Saucer was dope. I love that they kept the flavor of every area you went to and then just cranked it up. And it was just as cracked out as it ever was. You go to, was it Corel? What? Oh my gosh, I'm getting them all mixed up. Where you went and they're underneath the city. Oh my God, of course. Well, that sounds like Midgar. the oh my god, on the spot I can't think of this stuff, but where the water's all fucked up below, and you got your little dolphin buddy to help you. I remember that, the dolphin guy, and having him be there, but then they just, through the use of cutscenes and all that stuff, they make it more eccentric that he's helping you and you're kind of racing through, and that was really fun. I loved all the stuff in Junin, that's what it was. Junin? Yeah, not Corel. What am I talking about? Corel. Junin. Doing all the, like, making yourself look like the guards and following along with the soldiers and all that stuff. Love that. That was all done so well, and having it be part of the news broadcast. It was all so fun, and again, added new fun with the classic story. They really did a great job merging that. I've repeated that so many times in this video already, so I'm sorry you have to keep hearing that. They did a great job. They had the song. Rude is now singing about being a bald man or whatever. Okay, that was great. They did a really great job. I mean, I really love, don't get me started on Costa del Sol. Everyone was wondering what's that going to be like. Are we going to get that Final Fantasy Beach episode that we've been looking for? And they delivered. Everyone was looking hot. They didn't go, oh, let's just have them be in the armor on the, no, everyone's looking sexy in their swimsuits. Everybody was eating good on Costa del Sol. So that they delivered. And plus it had like segues and stuff. I did all the side stuff in Costa del Sol and I had a blast. It was just so bizarre and fun, and in the spirit of the weirder parts of Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy in general. I had a great time. And again, I love Rebirth and Remake when they have those moments where they kind of add a little more context to, like, why was this odd thing happening in the original game? We just kind of went, yeah, okay, but you don't think about it too much. Like, what? Yeah, okay, you just accept it. And then this game, with all of its modern technology, kind of like, oh no, that weird thing, like, instead of it just being a one-off bit, like, here's why it was happening, you know? I remember playing the Costa del Sol part in the original Final Fantasy VII, and it was so weird that, like, Hojo was on the beach, like, hanging out. I was like, what? Why is he there? You know, it was probably just the developers being funny at the time. Like, okay. And then in this game, he's there again. He's hanging out with babes just like he was in the original game. They didn't change that. They didn't remove anything. I think it's great. You know, it's really pretty cool. And then he's there and he's like, I'm doing a little experiment. Check this out. You know, like, you know, that all the cloaked dudes, you know, you kind of, again, in the original game, you would occasionally find a weird blobby entity. You could barely tell who it was or what it was, saying, oh, Sephiroth, reunion. But they kind of, again, gave it a little more context in this game where you're seeing legions of them and they're all going towards something. They just kind of solidified that part of the story a little better. You know, where it's like, this is like the fucking Walking Dead is heading this way, and we need to, like, see why they're going this way. And, you know, and then there was experiments being done with them at the beach, and it's just kind of like, why not do it here? You know, Hojo being there, it was really funny, but again, like, they added gravity to it in this game. You have a whole boss fight, and you're using an umbrella like a Buster Sword, and that was really fun. That felt very anime, but FF7 always kind of was anime. So, and it came out at a time where anime really wasn't accessible for America. And I think that's part of the reason why it was such a big hit, because people weren't getting stories like that here. And it was really cool, you know? So, anyway, so as for things having more context, things that we kind of just, yeah, with the old game, but now are kind of a bigger, more epic thing in the Rebirth, you know. On that kind of subject, let's talk about something that was a little more like, wait, was this in the original game? And that was Red 13's voice. Oh man, when he exposed what his real voice sounded like, for a minute there, I was like, this is like, they were kind of like hamming that up too much. I thought I was kind of like, this feels a little bit like character assassination, sort of. Like, they kind of went far with it, but then I'm like, wasn't there something like this in the original game? Like, he kind of changed his dialect when he left Cosmo Canyon and went out, wherever he did. Like, he kind of, right? Like, he kind of kept up appearances, I should say, a little bit. Like, didn't that happen? You know what I mean? And then, yeah, sure enough, looking it up, it's like, yeah, that was a conversation. I don't even know how much they pronounced that in the American version of Final Fantasy VII, but I remember reading about that, I think, on like Final Fantasy news groups back in like the late 90s and stuff like that. So, you know what I mean? So that was kind of weird. I still don't know how I feel about how they handled it. Like, I feel like that was original part of his character, that he was like disguising himself, but I almost feel like they got a little too much joy out of making him like, I actually talk like this. Oh my God. Like, I feel like that maybe they could have handled that a little more, I don't know, a little more subtle than the way they did it. I don't know. What'd you think? You tell me what you think. I think I've mostly talked about this or that. I'll say another thing that I really liked before I have a few more complaints. Maybe I brought this up in the first one too, but they really hit it home even more in this one. I love Tifa and Aerith's friendship. They have made that a positive in the story. And I thought it was interesting. I think I read an interview with like the writer of the original game that said, that he had people coming up to them like, it's a shame, Tifa and Aerith kind of aren't great friends, are they? And he was surprised by that. Like, wait, they're not? Like, that it didn't come off that way? Like, and so they really doubled down on trying to make that a thing. Like, I'm going to make that very clear in the new one. And subtlety is definitely not their goal in Rebirth. For better or worse, there is not a lot of subtlety going on. But I think in the case of Tifa and Aerith, it was a great thing. I enjoy seeing them together. They're encouraging each other. They're, Aerith does something and then Tifa will be looking at her and she'll do it too, and vice versa. And it's just great. Like, that was a net positive for the game. I really like that. Now, some things that I didn't like. This is just a technical thing, but they kept doing this lens flare effect, or not a lens flare effect, but like automatic exposure. If you have auto exposure on a camera, like right now, I took this camera and I'm outside in the sun. It all looks good. And then if I suddenly run indoors, it'll be like all dark for a minute, and then the camera takes a minute to automatically adjust. Okay, raising the exposure. Okay, now it's set for inside and it goes back up. It looks normal. There's like an effect that's doing that in this game where I kept running indoors and it was like all dark. Like, hello? Oh, and then it adjusts. I'm like, you're a video game. You don't need to like, why is that happening? We're not filming this in real life. Why is the video game can just be well lit everywhere, I think, but that's just me. I don't know. Maybe that's just something that was under my skin and not yours. Okay. The one thing that I really did not like, I'm going to get heat for this. This is probably my hottest take in this. Cut Yuffie out of this shit. I can't stand that character. I don't like that character. I didn't like Yuffie. I don't know. We're just pronouncing anything the way we want to at this point. Because I was told Kate Sith was Ket She when the original game came out. And now I'm told it's Kate Sith. So Yuffie, you tell me. I don't know. I don't like her. I didn't like her in the original game. She was an optional character in the original game. I got her once and I went, well, I did that. And every time I replayed it, nope. oh, someone wants to steal the materia. Nope. I just think she's so annoying in this game and does not really add to the... She's fun to play in battle. Okay. Yeah. She's a beast in battle. That's cool. Didn't really like her though as a character. I just felt like every scene do you know that meme where it's like a group huddled and talking and then someone comes up and says something and they go and then go back to talking? I felt like that was every scene with her. It would be like, okay, these cloaked men are heading this way, and we fear that Sephiroth could be at the end of the path. And what is he going to do with the black materia? You say materia, I'm the materia hunter. I'm going to get the strongest materia and one day use it to defend Wutai and then the world. Thank you. Anyway, yeah, so Sephiroth could be planning to use the black materia to summon a meteor. Like, it would just move on. It's just like, yeah, thanks for yelling in the middle of that scene. Okay, back to what we were talking about. You know, it drove me nuts. Yeah, I don't like her. That's all. I don't really have anything else to say. I don't like that character. I didn't then, and I don't now. Some things will never change. Tiger doesn't always change their stripes. In fact, they never do. But let's tie it back around to what I was talking about at the beginning. I was scared of this Faux sequel thing. Then they start doing interviews saying, no, we're this is not any kind of sequel. We're retelling the original game, but in a bigger way to include all the characters. And you do see kind of what they're talking about, you know, when you go to, again, I'm blanking out on the names of some of these towns. I think it was Gongaga, right? Where there's, what's her name? She was in Crisis Core, one of the agents that was in Crisis Core, and she's like chilling in the village. Okay. Well, you know, she was part of one of these pieces out here of the FF7 story, and now they're kind of all united into this one story, you know? So I see what they were talking about. What's interesting though is, again, playing this, I'm heading into the last chapters of the game, and I'm like, this mostly stuck to the original story, just with these Zack moments. And then you get to the end of the game, and I'm like, well, I know they're going to do something wacko here. They're going to. And I will say, I think the end of this game is probably the stupidest part of the whole thing. This is the other thing I just, not that it's, Hear me out. Not that it's stupid that they tried something different. But I gotta think there's other ways to do it than to kind of like murk up one of the most famous scenes in the whole story. Again, this isn't me saying you can't do anything different. You shouldn't try anything different. But again, just like what I was saying with that snake stuff earlier, I feel like when they start, I feel like when you reach one of the most definitively cool scenes in Final Fantasy VII, once they reach those specific points, they have to like add 10 ideas to it. And sure enough, they did it with the ending. And this is what I was saying earlier, when it's like, this is why no one's talking about it. Because what is there to talk about when you hit, again, I said I was spoiling the game. Yeah. You would watch at this point and go, oh, you better not be spoilers. Aerith's death, I just felt like had all impact sucked out by I give them credit because I said this on Twitter. I tried to do like prediction. I have to go back. I haven't even really looked at that video. I did a short video that was like predicting what would happen. And I said, I think she's not going to die. They're going to make like Cloud saves her or something, or like he dies and then she's the new badass main character or something like that. They didn't do anything like that. So I'm glad. they did go through with it. They killed her, I think. But again, it's done so. I kind of feel like it's almost fence sitting a little bit, where I feel like if it had been bolder, like, oh my God, not only did she not die, but a fucking serpent came out of her fucking nose and ate Sephiroth, and she became God, and the fucking X-Men showed up. Like, if they would have just gone real far with it, we'd have some shit to talk about. Or they do like, yo, let's do just the most epic, like let's just do homage to the original scene and do it as cinematic and grandiose as possible. We'd be talking about that too. Like, damn, they did Aerith's death. Like, they did that right. They did a service to it. And, you know, like, we got this next gen PS5 version of one of the most iconic scenes in video game history. I feel like we didn't get either end of the spectrum. We got this weird middle thing where, oh, he did save her. He didn't. Oh, she's dead. She's dead. She's not. She's dead. What? She's not. She is dead. Oh, okay. Oh, they're all sitting by the water sad. Did they already put her body in the water? Did they? They didn't. They did? Okay, they did. Oh, she's still here. Okay. She's still around? She's not. Credits. I don't even know what to talk about. Like, I don't even know what to say about that, okay? So just let me know what happened. Let me know when the next one's coming out. And that's why I'm not really like, I was mad at the ending of the first one. I was just like, dude, it was going so well. Why did you go all Kingdom Hearts with this? That was my attitude with the first one. This one I'm less mad about, even though I think this ending is kind of worse. Like, it's just kind of nothing to me. It's just like, yeah, oh. To me, this scene should have ripped my guts out. Like, either it should have been, oh my God, like they fucking made it as emotional as possible. Like I said, either they remake the original or whatever, or they go so boldly far from that it's like, what did I just see? And again, it wasn't either. It really was just this middle of the road, like, yeah, wasn't that weird, right? And it was too murky to me to feel one way or the other. There was too much. I always hate using, I'm sorry, I know this is so painfully me, and I'm like this, and I apologize, I know, but I always use the TV show Lost as an example for stuff because I love that show, and it's my basis for everything. But I remember in that show thinking, Saeed, I'm going to spoil some of Lost in case you never saw it, but Saeed was one of my favorite characters. This really, he was, taught to kill at a young age. He was a child, brought into the military, and death was kind of all he knew, and he was tormented, and it tore him up inside, and he didn't want to give into that part of himself that wanted to kill, and he was trying to find a new life on the island. And I remember thinking, if they ever do anything bad to this character, if this character dies in the show, it's going to wreck me. I don't even know what I'm going to do. It's going to be hard to watch if something bad happens to this guy. And then you hit the last season where he gets shot, and it's like, oh my God, he's going to die. But then they put him in this magic fountain that we've never seen before. It's on the island, and it's like, oh, is this going to heal him? It is? It's going to heal him? And then he comes out of it, and nah, he's still dead. Sorry, you can't. Once he's dead, we can't help him. Oh, okay. But then he wakes up. Wait, he's dead. That shouldn't happen. He's dead. And then he acts spooky, and then, wait, is he bad? And then they say, yeah, he's bad. He shouldn't have. He's bad. And then then later in that season, there's an explosive that's going to kill everyone, and he goes, "Not if I can help it," and he grabs the explosive and runs off, and it blows him up, and he sacrificed himself. So it's like, oh, he was good. Now, there are thematic reasons that they did what they did in that show, and you could get into that. I'm not going to. That's for another video. But I just remember thinking they did like one too many weird things with this guy that actually once he did die, I didn't care anymore, you know? And I love that show, but that is a criticism I have, is like by the time they kept going, that by the end of it, I was like, okay, just do it. Just get rid of him. All right. And that broke my heart. And I kind of felt that same feeling with Aerith's death here in the end of this game. I'm just like, you know, there's even a point earlier in the game in one of Zack's like alternate world or whatever it was scenes where he's talking to Marlene and she outright goes like, "Hey, just so you know, a bad dude is going to kill Aerith." Like, she fully telegraphs this. And again, I'm like, I'm still thinking about, and I thought about this with Remake, is like, I know so many people who bought Remake that had never played FF7 before that were like, all right, I've been waiting to hear what this is all about. I've been waiting for this. Here's Remake. I'm finally going to play Final Fantasy VII. And I was just, I just want, I feel like they were all, I mean, you tell me if you were one of those people and you feel different, but all the friends that I have that did that, I feel like they were lost by the wayside. Like, what? Okay. Again, there was faux sequel energy to that first one. And then this one, you know, had a little less of that. But then again, they're being told halfway through the game, oh, Aerith is going to die, by the way. I don't know. I mean, I know that's like the most known spoiler, and that's probably why they were like, man, whatever, just have it be part of the story. And I'm sure there's a reason. I'm sure there's a story reason they put that in there, you know, and it ties into what's going on in this other world that Zack is in and all that stuff. But I don't know. I still feel like, why get into that now? I don't know. Again, are we remaking it, or is it something else? However, that brings me into the next thing I want to talk about, which is I'm wondering if, and I saw other people discuss this, I'm wondering if they change their mind at some point on these games, Remake, Rebirth, and whatever. What is the next one going to be called, by the way? What else can it be? Remake, Rebirth. It can't be Reunion, right? Because they've already used that. What's going to be? Re-up. Reload it. What is it going to be? Anyway. But I'm getting this feeling they changed their mind or something. Like they really went out of their way to tell us in that Advent Children interview that like, no, it's the original story. This is just a remake. It's not a sequel. It's just a remake. Like they went out of their way to tell us that. And then this game doesn't really have that. It really feels like there's an emphasis on we're going to change the way the story goes. It's not going to go it feels like Aerith in the first game knows the story and like we're going to change it. You know, like something like that is going on. Sephiroth knows the story and the Whispers are trying to make it the original way, but we're going to change that. And I feel like that is kind of gone in this one. Like they change their mind on what it's going to be. And instead they start to double down on Zack is in an alternate world. And then they start to bring up, oh no, there's alternate worlds happening all the time. And they actually say that in the game. Something to that effect. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but it's, you know, it's like, oh no, there's alternate worlds going on all the time. And Sephiroth, I'm when I say I mean, I'm saying this as Sephiroth, which you could probably tell because, you know, we look fairly similar. You know, I'm going to merge all those worlds. Like that's what the real reunion is. I'm going to merge all this where maybe there's a world where I'm this or that or whatever, where maybe where Genova didn't get defeated, or did I don't remember exactly the end goal of merging all the worlds, but that's what he wants to do. And it makes me think, like, did something change? And they even, if you remember, they patched remake to change her line at the end. I don't remember exactly how they changed it. It was like, I miss these skies, or, oh, I don't like this sky, or something like that. They patched the first game to change the wording of certain things. And it makes me think they had a change of heart. Like, maybe they thought they were ahead of the game with, like, they don't know it's going to actually be like a sequel to FF7. And then when everyone guessed that, maybe they went, ooh, change the course. What do you think? Do you think that that's what they did, or do you think this was the plan all along? I don't know. But anyway, my prediction that I made before playing the game was that Aerith wasn't going to die. They did technically go through with it, although there's some weird stuff going on. They did go through that. So I am a little happy I was wrong on that. But there might be something maybe I did guess. I don't remember if I talked about this in the video or not, but it's a thought I had, and that counts. But I do want to bring this up. The fact that they were starting to go this direction of, like, there's other worlds happening all the time. And that's what you're seeing. Like, again, when Cloud goes to save Aerith, oh, good, he blocks the sword. She didn't die. Wait, what? And then he looks, and no, she did die. Like, you didn't. It's like, oh, Cloud is connected to Sephiroth. He's kind of seeing different worlds, one where she lives, one where she died, kind of thing. And I really just, I'm part of me was really happy they weren't just doing the Faux sequel thing, because again, I just feel like I've seen that now. But then another part of me was like, oh, this is a multiverse story. The other thing I'm really sick of. The how many multiverse stories are we gonna get? However, I was reading people kind of discussing that online, and I thought it was kind of crazy that I guess there, something that I didn't realize, and I was kind of going back through parts of the game and stuff like that. There is someone in Cosmo Canyon. There's an NPC. Maybe you've already seen this, but this was new to me. But there's an NPC in Cosmo Canyon. There's people all around talking about, like, oh, I saw this, and did you hear about this about materia? Did you hear about, blah 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 blah, and, Bugenhagen and stuff like that. Which is that how you say the name? I never knew. But there is an NPC talking about a theory. Again, I'm just kind of paraphrasing this off the top of my head. Might have this wrong. That they were like, yeah, I heard a theory that they're, I think they said something like the Lifestream holds our souls, but it also holds everything that makes us us, our feelings, our memories, and all of those exist together in the Lifestream with us. So they said in this theory that, like, in the Lifestream, it's all what's the difference between something that really happened and something that didn't. Something that you wished for and you dreamed about would be just as real as something that didn't that actually did happen, and that they talk about this. They kind of rattle this off for a while, and I gotta think, like, that's what's going on, right? And I think I did say in my prediction video, and I'm sorry if I didn't. If I didn't say it, I should have said it, because I had this thought that I thought, like, maybe we're in the Lifestream, like maybe the stuff you're seeing with Zack. We see the Lifestream as this, like, living, breathing kind of ongoing entity in the original game, and like maybe we're in that with all the Zack stuff. Maybe it's like what he wished would happen, what he dreamed would happen. Again, you kind of saw that with Cloud, right? It's maybe we're just strictly seeing the original story, but just added details to it. where like, he saw a glimpse of, what he wished would happen. He saved Aerith, but he didn't, But in Sephiroth's merging of all this stuff, it's just, he wants to be one with the Lifestream, right? Isn't that what he's trying to do in the original game? Like, take it and control it and do all this crazy shit, You're seeing glimpses of those things. I think maybe that's what's going on. We're in the Lifestream now. Whenever I say Lifestream, like this was a different term back in the day. We didn't have the term live stream, so I keep looking over and I'm seeing live stream on my desktop, and I keep thinking I'm accidentally saying live stream instead of life stream, as opposed to life straw. That's a whole other thing we don't need to get into. But I gotta think I've seen people talk about this on Twitter. And I have to agree. I don't think it's going to be just a simple like multiverse, bro. And there's different, I think it's they're seeing into the life stream. I think they're seeing into that, and we're getting glimpses of what exists there in the great beyond. Like maybe that promised land we keep hearing about kind of is this. So seeing people's theories on that, hearing that NPC talk about that in Cosmo Canyon made me feel a little better. I was scared it was just going to be another multiverse story, and that, no, okay, great, thanks. Again, following the trend of what movies are doing now ad nauseum, but if they're going to do something, again, I think it's something to do with the live stream and what's going on within that, and what existence feels like in there, maybe. And we're seeing pieces of it because we're getting closer to it in the story, and we're just seeing angles we never kind of saw before in the original story. Maybe that's what's going on. I'm giving it a little more benefit of a doubt than I did. I just had no faith in them with that last one, in the direction they were going. But like I said, I kind of feel like now, I feel like someone changed their mind, maybe. I feel like they're not quite barking up that tree like they were in the first one. So it's just gonna be a sequel. I was really scared this one would not follow the classic story, at all. Again, but I never meant to sound like I didn't want anything new. I think with a remake you should do new things, but again, it was all about finding that balance. And again, I think they did a great job of that in this one, as I've said 100 times in this video. So, I am wondering where it's all headed still. Didn't really like that ending or how they handled. Definitely did not. I did not like how they handled the Aerith death thing. But as being an ending for the game, I'm more forgiving now, because I will say, like, I think it's pretty cool they got this game out in relatively decent amount of time, and now they're saying like the third one is like not far behind, like it might be a few years away, and that's, if that, they're sounding pretty positive about it. So I'm a little more like, all right, you know what? I'm willing, like, okay, if there's just one more, I'm willing to like see that. Like, all right, just, it seemed a little more hopeless at the end of Remake, and now I'm kind of like, all right, this was a cool game. I don't know what you're planning to do, but I'll wait. I'll give you one more, and I'm willing to kind of just wait and see. I'm, if you want to compare it to Evangelion again, I know you love doing that. I remember, the third one was very divisive with people, but it ended with to be continued. So I was just like, well, there's only one more. It says to be continued, and there's one more. If that's all there is, I'm going to give you one more. I mean, if you're telling me to watch 10 more, well, I might feel a little more hopeless, but that's that. I feel like we're at that point right now in this trilogy. There's one more, and it's just, okay, just show me what you got with the third one, and I'll tell you at the end what I thought. But I'm much more open-minded now, because really at the end of the day, this was a way more full, robust game than the first one. The balance of everything was a lot better. I thought there was something for everybody, whether you like mini games. Well, you definitely are going to be doing mini games, but whether you like just story stuff or side stuff, or, you know, you just want to collect things because you feel the need to do that. There's something for everybody in this game in a way that I didn't feel quite like that with the first one. And I think it's overall just a way better game. I really, despite anything I complained about, because I know if you criticize anything, people will call you a hater. I know. But I'm telling you, I'm saying this, no matter what I complained about, this was a way better game than Remake. And way more in the spirit, just in general, of Final Fantasy. This felt like a Final Fantasy game instead of this kind of first part of something. This felt like a full-fledged Final Fantasy game. And this was more what I was hoping I would have got from the first one. But again, I understand how that went. This just lent itself more to being a complete video game, and I really enjoyed it. So, despite some complaints here and there that are a bummer, overall, fantastic game. Really, really enjoyed this one. And I'll play it again. If it comes to like Steam Deck or something, hell yeah, I'm going to play that again and do all the side stuff I didn't do. And I'm trying to think of any other little things in between that I really like. Again, music was really great. I think did they have Nobuo Uematsu? Did they have him come back? Bungled that name completely, but did they have him come back to do Aerith's song in the Loveless performance and all that? That's what I'm hearing. I thought I saw that in the soundtrack book. That's really cool. That whole performance thing that you did was really, really awesome. I love getting Barrett's backstory. I mean, I knew that was coming with dying and all that stuff. You know, I still thought it was funny having Kate Sith get crushed to death, and then a minute later, another one walks up like, "Hey guys, what are we looking at?" You know, that gag was preserved. That was really funny. Again, Gold Saucer was dope. I loved that. I loved how much more. This is a very weird thing. How much more they fleshed out the haunted hotel. I loved that. Was such a weird detail, and they kind of didn't even go into it in the original game. And part of me even thinks it was kind of funny they didn't go into it. Like, you're just staying at the hotel. Yeah, it's a themed hotel, whatever. Just stay here. I always thought that was kind of funny, but at the same time, it was cool in this one, seeing more details of it. I will say, I am going to complain about one more thing. Sorry. The dating aspect of the game, or like you could see, I really liked the you know, in the original game, you kind of would score points with people. Like, okay, if you're really nice to Aerith, or you're really nice to Tifa, when you go back to the Gold Saucer at one point, you'll go on a date with one of them, depending on who you were nice to. And then you could even play it right where you'd go with Barrett. I think I made that happen on one of my playthroughs. I think I did. I think I made it work with everybody that you could. But this game, I wanted to date Tifa. I'm a Tifa simp. I don't know what you want me to tell you. That's for this playthrough what I wanted to do. So I was a dickhead to everybody. Oh yeah. Oh, Cloud, what do you think? Should I tell them about the Cetra? Shut up. Oh, you know, hi, I'm Red 13. Shut up. But then when Tifa would ask me a question, it was, I think you should listen to your heart and believe in yourself. You know, I was just so buttered up to her. And then when it came time to do the big date at Gold Saucer, I got this middle of the road crap with, I got Sid, Vincent, and Red 13, which I didn't even know this was an option. I went on a date with the three of them. Hey, what do you say we have a guys' night out? Oh, okay. Which I haven't even looked up, like, what all the potentials are for that date. I'm assuming the Barrett one is still in the cards, because I think I saw a video of a Yuffie one that happened where she like play fights with you or something. Thank God I didn't get that one. Anyway, but yeah, I got this one with the three of them, and kind of nothing happened. Like, they went on the sky ride and they're like, yeah, okay, oh, cool. And it was so kind of unrewarding. I was like, what happened here? Like maybe I didn't. The only thing I can think of is I didn't do enough nice stuff. Like maybe I needed to do more side quests or other mini games or whatever that would build up the score higher. Maybe, like I don't know what happened there. Maybe this has been figured out and other people know this and I don't. You tell me. But yeah, it was disappointing. I was just like, what happened here? I was let down. I thought it was a shoe-in, at least in the old game. I feel like I had played that enough times that I know it's like, okay, I'm going to date that person. I already know what I need to do, but so maybe I thought I was Mr. Cool on this one and I wasn't. But anyway, yeah, I was kind of bummed that it was such a nothing scene. I don't know. I guess I should go look up on YouTube what happens when you date all the other people in the game. But I was so nice to Tifa. I did all what I have to do. Now I'm a Tifa cell. Anyway, that was my last complaint. It would have killed me if I didn't get that off my chest. If I hit stop on this and I didn't complain about the date, wouldn't have handled it well. But cast all that aside, like I said a minute ago, great game. I really am pleasantly surprised how much I enjoyed Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Really, really upped the whole thing to me. I hope they can stick the last chapter. There's a lot of big stuff in it that I'm curious how they're going to do. But if it's anywhere around what this game was, I'm excited. I really had a great time with it overall, and yeah, pleasantly surprised by quite a bit of it. That's it. So don't call me a hater, okay? I just said I really, really liked it. But now I can play. My calendar is clear. The gaming calendar. That's a separate calendar from like work, to play Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. So I'm going to do that now. But I'm glad I stuck to Final Fantasy first to get through it and be able to participate in the conversation. And I hope 3 continues the conversation in an interesting way. I hope it doesn't feel the need to show me everything as much as it, give me some mystery. That's the only thing I'm hoping for, is like a little bit of mystery to kind of be interesting as opposed to just weird for the sake of weird. That's what I'm hoping happens. That's my greatest wish for part 3. But really enjoyed part 2. I am curious though what you do think it's going to be titled. Please leave a comment. Retold. Final Fantasy VII Retold. Reskin. Reflipper. What is it going to be? I don't know. That's why I just asked you. Bye.